In only 14 days, Iceman is down bad.
The Drake Iceman chart takeover is here, with the 3 albums Drake dropped on May 15th, all inhabiting the top 3 right now. Obviously a massive record and a massive feat for Champagne Papi, something that is most definitely worth being celebrated, but it remains to be seen for how long Iceman will be able to freeze up the charts. Because not only did Iceman itself fall just short of its hoped for 500,000 in sales for that week, most likely because a lot of the traffic and attention was being spread out among 3 records instead of just concentrated onto one. But Iceman and its many tracks have been seeing exponential percentage drops in the amount of daily streams it's been seeing for the past week. Streaming data posted to social media says on May 24th, the record pulled in about 28 million streams in total, which is an over 100 million stream drop from the record's opening day, and also a 15% drop from the day before. And if this downward spiral continues, I imagine Iceman's numbers are going to be melting off the chart pretty soon. So again, while those opening day numbers have been impressive for Drake, no doubt, the staying power for Iceman does not really look all that good at the moment.
The intro song, the one song that I said was the good song, right? The good song that I heard on Iceman, that I said, if I had to applaud any of the songs on here, I said that the Make Them Cry would be the best track on this entire project from what I have heard, gang. I have still not sat and listened to it, although I have been implored by many to do so. I have heard a bunch of snippets and I have watched a bunch of videos, so I classified that as having heard enough. I've heard enough, gang, and I want to say what I knew was coming. I do want to be the I told you so guy, because people have gotten real indignant, gang. They've gotten very, very obnoxious about this record, and they're not letting anything breathe. I told you, when I go on Yes Twitter, once again, I can write anything. Even if I don't say Drake, Iceman, or anything of that nature, I can literally write anything, and I would guarantee you there will be 100 comments on whatever I post if it's related in the slightest way to Aubrey or his music or Kendrick, or for that matter. Even myself, I put some shit about myself, and they come into my comments and they have awful things to say to me, gang, which I don't mind. I ignore 99% of them. Most of the time, I don't even go back, put the shit on mute, so you're screaming into the void. But I say all that to say they have been in rare form. I told you, when this thing dropped, it was going to be worse than the fall off drop. And the fall off, those guys got a pretty obnoxious as well, but you ain't seen nothing like this. These Drake fans, they got their butt on their back to let me tell you, they are giving me and anybody that's pro dot or whatever you want to call it, the K bot, oh, they giving us hell, gang. They remind us of these numbers, up, down, every kind of way, and sideways too. And what they're telling us, that's this guy went first, second, and third. He got the whole shit locked down, and he broke a whole lot of records, gang. But he just broke another record, gang. It's only been 2 weeks, and he broke the fastest drop off in the history of Spotify, which I told you, this thing has no substance. And what I said is, if it doesn't have Kendrick disses, it's going to do even worse. And I also said that those Kendrick disses are not going to be enough to sustain it long time. And here we are. They're going to put together a bunch of campaigns. They're going to try to use TikTok and this, that, and the third. They're going to try to push Janice shut the F up. They're going to make sure that everybody's on board. I told you, I saw it when they did the Nokia, I think it was last year or the year before, whenever they did the Nokia push, right? Oh no, it was last year, and they did a push for Nokia, and they were like, come on, guys, we can do this, guys. Don't give up. Keep streaming, guys. Let's go, guys. We're almost there. So they're going to get behind the Janice STFU track, which is allegedly a diss record to K. Dot and Joe Budden or whoever else is concerned. So end of the day, doesn't matter. It's not going to work. Now, what's going on is all of those tracks from day one, gang. I hope you remember that I said in a previous video that it was a 50-cent drop off from the very first day that this thing dropped. The very next day, 50%. That is not, they want you to believe that that's normal. It's not normal. They do 35, sometimes 40%. They don't drop off 50%. That is a bad sign that within 24 hours, your project goes down 50%, gang. So that is not good. That is not ideal, especially if you're trying to prove a point as such as he is. Now, we're seeing the drops increase to the point that, and yes, I'm going to talk about this intro song because, gang, they're going to have a lot of excuses. They clap their hands and stomp their feet when they win. They brag about a lot of shit, but when they lose, it's a bunch of excuses. And now what's going on? The Make Them Cry single has suffered a 62.53% drop in streams on the global Spotify chart. You cannot sustain. You got to understand what's going on. This guy is a pop star. He needs pop records to stay hot. He needs to do big records. The Make Them Cry was supposed to be the get back single, the response to Not Like Us, because you know what they did the very first day? They said, mind you, it's the first record on the album. So that thing shot up. Spotify came out, erroneously said it had beat the Not Like Us for the first day streams. It said it was the biggest one in history, where they had to walk that back because they made a mistake, right? A manual error. Somehow the two songs got combined to make it the number one stream. And these guys ran with that before, during, and after Spotify even apologized. They ran with Make Them Cry being this massive success and how it overtook Not Like Us. So now that it dropped, they want to say, well, guys, it's just the intro. So it's only, no, it wasn't the intro when you guys were clapping your hands and stomping your feet. Right? This was Meek Mill's Dreams and Nightmares, right? Whatever you want to call it. This was that. This was the biggest record in the world. He was back, this, that, and the third. Now that it's dropped off savagely, worse than everything else on the album. Mind you, this is the first record, gang. You got to understand this. They keep trying to say it's the intro. Well, that's what people play first when they go to an album, gang. Okay? If you're a real fan, you're going to play the first song over and over. So, the end of the day, they want to now make an excuse that, well, it's just an intro. Intros typically drop. Yeah, they do drop. But do they drop 62%? Okay, this thing is the fastest dropping thing in history. The whole album is dropping because there's very little substance. And when you hear people talk about it, honestly, I'm not talking about the stands and the warped OVO fans that think everything this guy do is good, gang. This guy could tap his feet in the swimming pool, and they'll be like, you hear that beat? Yo, he's just naturally gifted, right? So what I'm saying is this. They're going to say that it's great. But outside of that, when you really listen to the regular, everyday people, the casuals, they were making videos about this thing telling you it sucked. I've never seen so many videos about how an album sucked, how the rhymes were ABC. And gang, I'm just going to be honest, between me and you, a lot of white girls doing videos about this thing sucking, gang. A lot of white girls. I saw at least 20 white girls getting on there in no uncertain terms, describing song for song how they hated this album and how they hated Drake. I'm just going to be honest. So this is not setting well with the casuals, right? And the regular people. So it's showing a steep decline because they're losing interest. When you spend a whole album rehashing lyrics by your rival, you claim that you don't remember nothing he said, nobody remembers anything he said, but then on like at least 5-6 songs, you keep reminding people of what he said. I think 2 of the damn songs is named after his lyrics, gang. So you clearly remember what K. Dot said to you and what he said to the whole world about you, but you wanted to try to make an album rebutting all of that, and you can't do that in one song, so he did it in several songs. You spent too long on that, and people got bored with it. I saw die-hard fans of this guy who happen to be, I want to say, commentators who do YouTube videos. I saw diehard fans start their videos out with, I used to be a hardcore fan. They started out the videos with that. Then they proceeded to break down why they didn't like this album. And it had a lot to do with a bunch of rehashing the battle. A lot of them don't want to hear that no more. And a lot of people aren't. Who's still engaged in that? Like, we heard you, that's it. That's not going to make people go back and play. That's not going to make people go back and listen, because we've been through that 100 times. Yeah, people still talk about it, but they're not going to hear music about it. So it's too much of that on there, not to mention the writing. I told you there was no ghostwriter in this. I know people want to believe that they're ghostwriters. Drake don't trust nobody, gang. Ain't no ghostwriters on here. You will not hear a reference track from here. You have heard tracks that they outright stole. His team goes on SoundCloud, scours that shit, gang. They go deep into SoundCloud to people that you never would have heard of, and they got good ears. Let's give them that. But they'll find stuff they've already had about at least 4 different artists come out saying that their music was hijacked, and they know for a fact because they were in touch with his team. I believe, what's this guy, 1900 Rugrat, I think that's his name, right? The white boy, I believe he's from Florida, said he's supposed to work with Drake. They're supposed to work on the exact song that Drake took from him, and he took it and never put Homeboy on it. Didn't tell him he was doing it. Same thing they did to XXXTentacion. Same XXXTentacion. The same playbook that they've been running for years. Link up with the guy. Tell him everything is everything. We're gonna put you on the record, or we're gonna get on your record. Drake is really interested in you, and then voila, one day out of nowhere, a couple months later after you got ghosted, your shit comes out and his name is on it and yours ain't, and his vocals is on it and yours ain't. We've seen a bunch of that. We've already seen at least 4 people saying that their music ended up on one of these albums out of these 3. So a lot of this stuff is heavy-handed with Drake, but I don't think he has enough focus to give you a solid album. We saw him out and about, streaming, gambling, doing this, that, and the third. He went to Australia, did the show over there. He was on top of that, in that suite, on top of that hotel, throwing chunk clatters at the drones, doing all kind of commercials for steak, a whole lot of stuff that he's obligated to do. I don't think he really had time to focus on his album, even after a 2-year hiatus. And the funny thing about it, there was really no hiatus because he kept working. But I 100%, some of these bars, they are so ridiculous. You have to believe that he wrote them, because no ghostwriter going to go in there and put these things together and hand it to somebody and say, this is what I wrote. Okay, I 100% believe, and a lot of people believe what I believe, that Drake wrote all of this shit himself. Gordo, his man that produces with him, said he only knew about 2 albums. He didn't even know he did a 3rd one till the shit came out. He said he gave him beats, this, that, and the third. So Drake was in there by himself making half this shit. On the 3rd album, Drake made all this shit himself, gang. According to Gordo, he wasn't there. Right? So, end of the day, and you got to understand, to do this shit in secret with your man, you have to be in that bitch by yourself. So, I believe a lot of this stuff was coming straight off the dome, coming straight from the mind of this guy. But his mind, the reason the album is like it is, because his mind is still stuck in 2024. He's still stuck on Kendrick's smug face, that smug look right off your face. He's still trying to get him back. And I myself personally, I haven't heard all 3 albums, but I heard enough, and I've heard a bunch of responses to stuff that Kendrick said and did, and trying to rebut that years later. That means he sat there stewing over the stuff that already happened, can't get it out of his head, and therefore the album suffered. So people do not want to hear that. It's at a steep decline. I'm going to read this, and we're going to have a conversation, because there's going to be rebuttals. I told you, and you know that there's a new market for Drake commentary, and they have a couple Drake commentators that will watch this and will try to rebut it. So let's have some fun. Now some people actually want to see that shit. Okay, they want to hear pro Drake content, and I welcome it. I welcome the challenge. It's been kind of spooky out here, because nobody really has it. They really don't have anybody with intelligent commentary, but now we got a couple, gang. So I welcome the challenge. So let's read this and have a conversation, okay? Iceman is down 90 million streams the 3rd day on global Spotify chart. Make Them Cry suffered the biggest, fastest drop-off percentage in Spotify history. Gang, this song, the so-called, it's only an intro. This is the song that was supposed to have dethroned Not Like Us. They came back. You don't know how many posts I saw aimed at me and showing me that Make Them Cry had taken down Not Like Us. So we're not going to act like it's just the intro when the shit drops like a rock. Not Like Us never dropped, gang. You got to understand, we're talking about, if you're going to say it took out Not Like Us, then let's play. Not Like Us reigned for months and months on the charts. This thing is cooked already, and it's only been 14 days. All right? So let's continue. Drake's single Make Them Cry suffered a 62.53% drop in streams on the global Spotify market. This steep decline set the record for the biggest and fastest drop-off for a #1 song in Spotify history, surpassing the previous mark held by Harry Styles. Okay, so what's going on is this thing is abnormally falling. All of it is abnormal, and they've been trying to say. I see a couple of these pro Drake channels. They know who they are. Okay, trying to say this is just normal, guys. No need to panic. It happens to everybody. It does happen to everybody. Casuals fall off, this, that, and the third, but not at 50%. And then not keep going even steeper and faster. It's not building any momentum. You know why? You put out 3 albums at the same time. You threw out 18 videos. You didn't know what to do. And I said that since last year. I've been saying this for 2 years. Doesn't know what to do. Has no focus. The one way to prove that a guy has no focus, he throws out 3 albums and 18 videos, spends $16 million on marketing and promotion. That means you don't have no focus. You didn't focus on Janice out of nowhere. Now Janice is the lead single out of nowhere because the fans have decided it is. He didn't put no focus. He threw a video out for it and threw a whole bunch of other videos out. They didn't say do this one. This is the one. This is why this thing is all over the place. They going crazy about no radio play. Well, if you drop 18 songs on the goddamn radio, they're not going to play 18 songs. Okay, you guys aren't focused over there. You're throwing everything at the wall. You made 3 albums to see what stick. You got a rap album, an R&B album, and then you got a I like to say calypso, but we're going to say international album, right? Hibbity Bibbity, Maid of Honor, and Iceman. You threw a whole bunch of shit on people, 40-some tracks. That's a lot to absorb. They're not going to find a hit single on there because they're still trying to process the whole shit. That's why you don't do that. 2 of the albums flopped for Drake standards. If Drake ever dropped the album that did 120 units, you guys would close up shop and say, we're done here. Send his ass to Atlantic City. Send his ass to Vegas. We're done here. He's a legacy act now. We'll go see him over there at the Palace, right? But for some reason, you want to make these wins. You want to combine the shit into 6,000. Oh, it did 600. If you combine, no, you don't combine 3 out. They're 3 separate albums, 3 different titles, 3 different SKUs. They 3 different things. You can't combine them. Ain't no combining shit. So end of the day, you got 2 flops out of 3. Right, and they may have went 2 and 3, but they're not gonna be up there for long. Okay, so all of that celebrating, all of that dancing and gaslighting, and all this shit y'all been doing for a hot 2 weeks, gang. Well, Jay-Z, the guy that he tacked on that album, he got a great saying that says, "Your reign on the top was shorter than leprechauns." This was short, and I just sat back and watched. I let y'all have your moment. Enjoy. I want you to be happy. If you happy, I'm happy. I didn't want to rain on your parade. Sure, I sent out a couple tweets that kind of threw a couple jabs. Of course, sure I did. Of course I did. You know I did. Why wouldn't I? But end of the day, I said, you know what, Charles? Everybody deserves some happiness. Let them hug each other. Let them kiss each other on the cheek. Let them be happy for a few days because it ain't going to be that long. And here we are. We're in 2 weeks and this thing is cooked. G and X, 2 weeks. What's that, nigga? Like G and X was up there for a goddamn year. Gang's like, what we talking about? This nigga got Grammys 2 years straight for the same goddamn music, gang. So we're talking about a guy who's mad at the Grammys that don't want to submit because he's so mad. Like this ain't the same, gang. It's 2 different things. And I don't know why we keep having this conversation, but we do. We got to keep comparing a pop star, a pop singer with real rappers that really rap like Jay-Z and Kendrick and Nas. We got to compare them to this guy who's making he's making all kind of genres and seeing what stick. But it's been like this for a while. Iceman was number 7 out of all of his releases all times. With all that money he spent, he lit up the CN Tower, turned the shit blue. He put ice on the ground with fucking 350 tons of ice. He bought the Michael Jackson glove. This shit had real diamonds. Gang had real emeralds on, like whatever stones you believe it's expensive, had it on there. That shit cost $120,000, gang. He did all that shit for this thing to be the 7th most sold album of his career. Okay, he had a whole bunch of albums that did better than this. All right, this is the middle of the road. He did all that. So this ain't that. Drake is a legacy act, but he's fighting it and he's doing a pretty good job, right? Remember when Jay-Z did that promotion with the phones? I forgot what phone it was, Motorola. I don't know what it was. But if you bought the phone, Jay-Z album came with it, and he sold millions of records with that. He went platinum like immediately and shit. And a lot of you guys were so upset. I saw think pieces talking about why doesn't he just earn streams on his merits? Why does he have to play these games and gimmicks? Well, this is all games and gimmicks too. But nobody's complaining. We're giving him a pat on the back for a rollout, okay? He ain't do no interviews, just did a whole bunch of gimmicks and this, that, and the third. But here we are. That shit only lasted for a little bit of time, and people are bored with it. Let me finish the conversation. This steep decline set the record for the biggest and fastest drop-off for a #1 single, a song in Spotify history, surpassing the previous mark held by Harry Styles. Because Make Them Cry is a highly anticipated intro track from a massive surprise release, opening day drops are actually quite common, as the initial numbers are usually heavily inflated by dedicated fans and curious casual listeners all at once. That is all true, but they're not this massive. It's going to happen every single time, but not 62%, which is why this is the fastest drop in history. All right, just stay with me, gang. It's going to be a lot of words in here, but we got to put them in their proper perspective. Yes, it's common, but not like this. Okay, let me continue. while Drake's Iceman triple project generated a colossal 462 million first week's U.S. streams. Daily streaming data reflects a massive drop-off, pulling around 28 million streams in its second week daily average. It's doing 28 million streams, gang. Okay? GNX was doing more than that in the second week. But let me continue. And it was a surprise drop. Didn't have $16 million in promotion. But let me continue. In contrast, Kendrick Lamar's GNX previously sustained remarkable second week momentum, retaining more of its pure sales and steady daily listening streaming, okay? All right, so let's compare. Drake's Iceman first week smashed 2026 records with 462 million on-demand streams in the U.S. week-over-week drop. And analysts noted a steep decline in the daily streaming percentage drop-offs after the highly anticipated weekend pulling down to approximately 28 million streams. Kendrick Lamar, on the other hand, his GNX first week generated around 369 million streams in his opening week. It demonstrated a incredibly resilient staying power, posting a solid 165,000 equivalent streams in its second week and occasionally outperforming rival daily streams in the long run. So what that means is Kendrick was staying steady and it kept everything's going to drop, but it kept a steady pace, which this one is not. This one is dropping like a rock. It's falling down bad. And K. Dot really had music that you had to go back to and digest. You had to figure this out, figure that out. Not no fake ass limericks and bullshit where you try to pretend to be deep. It wasn't that. It just was quality music that had substance and consciousness to it. Also, it had that edge to it. It had that unpredictable, that West Coast bounce that he put to it that people hadn't heard in years. So that was something that a lot of people were coming back to too, trying to understand it and get, because nobody was doing that for years on a high level that the market could digest. So he had everything going for him, and it made a difference. Then he went on tour. So there was a whole lot going on. So we'll see when Drake goes on tour, if and when he goes on tour, what the numbers does. But I think when you drop 18 videos, gang, you dilute the product. You dilute the product. You're making the product. You're at that point. They don't have nothing to look forward to. They really don't. Your hardcore fans, yeah, they're going to wait for another video. But if you drop 18 videos on casual fans, they're like, what? Which way? Like, it's confusing to try to watch all that. Right? And they kept telling us Drake is about to do a tidal wave. The game is never going to be the same. Well, this is what they meant. They knew he was going to do, some of them knew he was going to do this, but to this extent, they couldn't have known this because somebody would have said, slow down, partner. You're blowing your entire wad on day one. And that's exactly what they did. Within 2 days, everything was out there. There's nothing to look forward to. Yes, it's going to be more videos. It's going to be more nonsense. But at the end of the day, there is no concrete song that people can rally around. And I heard the Janice STFU, shut the F up. I don't think that's a record that's going to be popping like you think. They're going to force it. They're going to make sure the radio has it. I don't think this is the difference, gang. You can put all that shit out. You can force it. You can force it on the radio. It don't mean that people going to like it. And I don't think people going to like it. That's just me. I'm going to leave it at that, man. Do with that information what you will, man. GNX was grinding out. It didn't fall. It took a long time for that thing to lead the charts. I think a year later, gang. So we not dealing. They're two different animals, and I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna pass the buck to my newly formed Drake commentator channels that are doing really well. They're picking up a lot of subscribers and a lot of streams. So I want to hear your response to this. All right. Salute, man. I'm out of here. I'm going to catch you on that flip. Listen, head on over to black-yeti.com. Let them know who sent you. They ship all over the continental U.S. Also, every Wednesday night, we go live on the What Show, me, TJ, and Fliz, about 9:15, 9:30. I got the Patreon up and running. Lock into that. I got a new morning news program I'm going to be doing next week. It's going to be 8 a.m., this, that, and the third morning news, lock in, nigga. We rolling, man. I feel like there's a lot of people in this space that get a lot of credit for doing the bare minimum, gang. So we gonna turn this shit up, and we gonna have to have a real conversation with these niggas about who doing what in media, okay? And last but not least, we got a new video called Peanut Butter Tim's. Tap in, lock in. That's on off the What Project. That's on all streaming platforms. I'm out of here, man. I'm gonna catch you on that flip side. Or go down to my affiliate links too and support the channel. I got the Temu link still down there, all right? Peace. Look,
Mission impossible to drop a few lines without dropping old times when Southern Hill was still a gold mine. When pistol grips was my shit and I sold mine. When Alias was not a show and they told mine.
Elevate your mind with high quality THC infused products. BlackYeti.com. Black-Yeti.com.
CLB.
Get my coat, get my sheepskin, grab my wallet, get my pocket knife, and get that hat right there. We out. Grab my pocket knife too. Let's go. When I first came to the city, niggas didn't believe me. I just wanted to join a team and throw assist pass easily. 6 man off the bench, alley-oop pass freely. Suit up for one game and hope a scout might see me. But nah, niggas is greedy, wasn't rocking with him. Unplugged the scoreboard, put a lock on the gym. Told me to power forward, point guard at the rim. And left me with no center and a ball full of phlegm. Not knowing that I'm a dog, a Rottweiler within. With the heart of a pit bull that don't bark for pretend. My bites cut deep, break the bone and the skin. With the level of hustlenomics you do not comprehend. So first I took a block down on the west side end, and then secured a spot with some goons and some kin. And then sent out some flyers, let the games begin. And in 6 months time, the city like that's him. Oh yeah, he the one that moved the hustle to the burbs. And yeah, he the one that knocked the hustlers off the curb. And yeah, he the one that set up shop without a word. And he the one that got it cracking, and all he did was rapping by the Hooters. I kept killers from being shooters. Put a mic in a thug's hand, now he loyal like Pats fans. Take a man off the streets past the needles and crack cans. Promise mama to keep him safe, then put some food in his face and he'll kill for you. But I don't need him for that. Click like, click share, tell them bitches we back. Share the whole location, tell them niggas where we at. Cause we out here and we ain't the cheese, we the trap.